Welcome to the GRC and Me podcast, where we tackle the hottest topics and the latest challenges circulating the GRC industry. I'm your host, Meghan Maneval, and today we're going beyond technology to learn what customer success looks like here at LogicGate. Joining me today is Jen Renna, LogicGate's Chief Customer Officer, to discuss the evolution of customer success at LogicGate. Well, welcome, Jen. Why don't we go ahead and get started and tell us a little bit about how you got into customer success?
Sure. Well, I started in sales years ago, sort of my first roll out of school. You had to pay the rent. And while I really enjoyed working with customers, I realized quickly that I'm not really a hunter, more of a farmer, and then migrated into those account management roles. And then eventually, as SaaS picked up, it became or evolved into customer success.
Yeah, I like that analogy. I hadn't heard that before, but I like that. And I think the farming and the tending of the land, right? That's a nice analogy for customer success. So let's pivot in away from that and talk about a couple of myths. So let's start with this one. I heard a rumor that customer success is just about answering support tickets and solving problems. Let me hear your take on that one, Jen.
So that would be false. The customer success has really evolved over the last decade, moving more from being very reactive and waiting for customers to tell us what's wrong or ask us questions to becoming more proactive, and really working and engaging and helping them grow and achieve what they want to do in a more proactive way. So I would say, while there may be some companies that are still operating that way, the vast majority have switched to being a more proactive experience.
Yeah, I was going to guess that was your take on that. Knowing what I know about your teams, that's for sure a proactive approach they have there. Well, what about this then? Because I've also heard that once customers are onboarded, they're just set up for success and they can just kind of go on autopilot. How does your team handle that type of stuff?
No, that's a great question. Again, also not true. Once somebody is onboarding, you've got that ongoing adoption, right? There's constantly new stakeholders who are joining at the company that you need to get them acquainted with your tool, with your product to make sure they know how to use it. Their business needs and objectives are changing. You think about how many times you change direction in your role in a given year. So, what they're doing and what they're trying to achieve is different. And so that might require modifications with the way that they've set their program up. So you're constantly having this ongoing dialogue of how you can continue to grow their program and change that over time, right? And how do you help them with sort of their end user adoption as well? So it's not a set it and forget it. It would make our jobs all very, very easily, and we'd very, very easy. But it is something that continues over time. It's sort of that continuous life cycle of engagement over the conversations that you have with your customer.
Interesting. Then I guess this one might be true that a GRC platform or really any technology is more than just technology. It's about the people involved. How do you feel about that sentence there, Jen?
I would definitely agree with you that that is true. When I think about our people, they're really what brings to life our technology and our product. Being there to help our customers be a trusted partner, not just a vendor, and help people grow and learn from best practices that we're seeing over hundreds of customers, right? We are working with hundreds of customers every day, and we want to be able to bring those best practices to our customers to help them get better, build stronger programs over time.
I really like that. They're interacting with the same problem maybe 10 times, but you don't have to solve it 10 different ways, right? That's really interesting. Well, that brings me then, let's talk a little bit more about that then when we're talking about customer success, because what is really success, right? And if we're thinking about some of our customers and Risk Cloud customers, tell me a little bit about how you measure that success.
Yeah. We look at it a couple ways, right? There's certainly how does someone interact with your product, right? I think that is the go-to, how many people are logging in, how are we monitoring that ongoing system usage. The second thing we kind of look at though is sort of the maturity of their GRC program. Um, People come in at different stages, right? Some may have a very robust program. Some people might just be getting started, and they don't really know where to go. So we have these solution success kits that we've developed. And we have three levels of maturity. So we really like to figure out where are our customers in their maturity level, and how do we move them up in that maturity? So we try to track that, right? Are we helping our customers develop a more robust program? And the third one is really just how do they engage with LogicGate? Are they attending our ongoing customer webinars, LogicGate Live? Are they coming to our customer events like Agility, which is coming up April 6th and 7th?
Yes.
And we really love to have our customers become more of the conversations, not just with us, but with their peers as well. And I think that's what a lot of the value is that we can bring together, is building that more robust community, and making sure that they have the peer networks to tap into in the GRC ecosystem.
So let's shift just a little bit then. How do you ensure that the customer's voice is heard or represented within LogicGate's strategy?
Sure. I mean, we collect customer feedback a variety of ways. Formally, we have NPS in the product, so there's an opportunity there, and we do look at it. We take a look at it. We actually have a Slack channel, so every single submission, the whole company has access to see. But we do value the input that we get there. We have ongoing surveys that we might send out to customers. Our product team engages regularly to get some feedback on the roadmap or features, and obviously having some beta programs. But I think the biggest thing, and one of the reasons I came to LogicGate is the accessibility of the leadership team. We are all very hands-on leaders. We love to engage with our customers. We love to be there and understand and learn what they're struggling with in the industry with their programs, so that we can work together to solve that in the future. So I think, when we think about that feedback, we really like to hear from our customers. A lot of places, kind of don't, but we find this is a way for us to kind of grow and think about where do we go in the future. And where we go in the future is all shaped by our customers and the feedback that they give us.
Yeah, so true, so true. Well, let's pivot a little bit then, because you've mentioned it a couple times and you've talked about the people and the people on your team. And we're getting sort of that sense of them being really critical to that success. So tell me a little bit about why you believe that the people are part of that GRC success so critically.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at in our industry in particular, human error is really the leading cause of breaches, right? It still is, years later.
Mm.
And I think helping customers build the robust program to educate their customers, their end users, that's really important. And I think that when we think about it, we're kind of helping our customers instill a little bit of customer success in themselves, and how
Mhm.
they're getting their end users up and running and adopting the tool that they've built or the workflow that they've built in their GRC program. So that's why I really think it all comes down to people. If we aren't building the programs that are educating the end users on what's appropriate, what are the company policies, then we're not going to be there to help them contain some of these risks within their business.
That's a really critical point. Humans definitely are certainly the weakest link in a lot of those security controls there, for sure. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. So the customer comes in, they purchase Risk Cloud, they're starting down that deployment. What are some of the things then that they can expect from LogicGate's customer success team?
So we really try to wrap ourselves around our customers. And, starting with onboarding, we have a robust team. We want to make sure that we're setting out to achieve, like I said earlier, your outcomes throughout your program. So the first thing we do is we really work with you to identify what's our first time to value metric, right? So for some customers who are coming to us and they want something, they have a very basic workflow maybe that they need to stand up. It might be launching that workflow in 30 days. For other customers that might have, a very robust program, they're building multiple applications. It might be building a data diagram. So there's lots of different pieces that could become that first time to value. But we work together with you to identify what is it that we want to measure for success, and then tracking to that to make sure that we are hitting on those goals with you. The second thing is, once you're launched and you're out of onboarding, we work with you and build these mutual success plans. And the whole idea of that is what are you trying to achieve? What do our customers want and need to do, so that we have sort of a roadmap to help guide them. If we don't know what they're trying to achieve, we don't know what their business objectives are for the year, it's really hard for us to make sure that they're going to be successful. And so that's a key part of our engagement with our customers is first and foremost making sure we know what those are. And then in our ongoing touch points with our customers, and we have those syncs all throughout the year, revisiting that and making sure that we're making progress towards that. Some of that is stuff that we can control, some of that is stuff that the customers, but really just making sure it's top of mind so that we can continue to move their program forward.
It's interesting while you're talking here, Jen. I'm kind of having these flashbacks of when I've purchased SaaS solutions in the past, and just hearing that first time to value, right? What's that first metric? I think that's so important in sort of justifying that purchase, right? Back to your boss of like, hey, look, we did this thing, within that 30 days. But then, that mutual success plan, and even going back to those solution success kits that you were talking about. I know this might sound a little bit cheesy, but that was actually one of the things I was very, very impressed with when I came to LogicGate. I've only been here about 4 months now, and really seeing that it's not just a solution. You're in it for the long term. It's not a 1 year, set something up and move on. It's multi-year success and growth and adoption. And I think that's just really cool and really cool to see your team building that out here. So I love it. I love it. Well, I think this is almost kind of an odd question because we've just talked so much about all the value that your team is driving here. But how do you see, some of maybe any specific metrics or activities or initiatives where you see your team sort of helping drive that value with their customers?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's been a huge focus for us this year. What's interesting, I started here about a year ago, and when I was wrapping my hands around our customers, what I realized is we seldom lose customers to competitors, and that's really rare in SaaS, right? A lot of times, if someone doesn't renew, they're switching to another provider. And so when I started digging into it, what I realized is that our customers weren't going someplace else. They were just going back to either no program or manual tracking through spreadsheets.
Wow.
And that really made me think, right? Like, that's really interesting. And they always felt like it was valuable, but they couldn't get the budget and they couldn't get the buy-in. And so they
Mm.
didn't know how to advocate and secure that budget themselves. And so what we've done this year is we've built this value realization program where we're actually helping them, automate it in our system to track these metrics. We're looking at things like resource and system efficiency, right? So taking away the manual email sends, having to kick off attestations and having to kick off different things at different times, not having to do that across 300 people, right? The system just does it for you. So being able to give you a metric of the dollars you saved in not having to have additional FTEs is one way to look at it. Another way is really our proactive risk reduction. So how do we take, subtract residual risk from inherent risk and see a capture a portion of those cost savings, right? So what are you driving as, your day-to-day within managing this program? And then the third one, which we've had some interesting conversations with customers, is really being the revenue and business enablement lever, right? So if you didn't have these programs up and running, what wouldn't you be able to do, right? Like are there certain customers where the company couldn't either enter a new business market or geography, right? Or they couldn't capture revenue from customers because those customers might require specific industry certifications, which wouldn't be possible without the program, right? Wouldn't be able to prove some of the stuff that they were doing. So really being able to quantify that as well as how integral the programs that they do are to the overall business of their company.
Yeah, and I find that so fascinating. Coming from, the GRC space, I always joke that we had to have some sort of metric that proved we were doing our jobs.
Yeah.
We're not just out there, writing audit findings or, making it harder for people on purpose. But being able to come in there and say, yeah, we've enabled this amount of revenue, or, we've been able to reduce, just the number of manual emails or manual assessments, things like that. And having that, I think, is super valuable for your team to really partner. Like you said, it really comes down to that collaboration there and that partnership.
Yeah, it's been
Well,
interesting. Just what's really
yeah,
been
please.
interesting is when we are rolling this out, and again, we've had some customers that have been in beta. We're now rolling it out to all our customers. What's really interesting is the conversation that we're having. It's
Mm.
eye-opening to them the numbers. And we're using very conservative numbers in there in assumptions, right? So we might
Yeah.
say, oh, it takes 30 seconds to send an email, like super conservative, right? We all know it probably takes a lot longer than that, to craft it, to, pull the audience list, all that. We're When you look at how that rolls up over time, and again, we're tracking it real time in our system. So we're able to see how that improves as well, and how it grows and scales. So it's been, I think, not only eye-opening, but super helpful for a lot of our customers to be able to have those conversations.
Yeah, yeah, really fascinating stuff, and I look forward to seeing that continue, and the more customers who adopt that, really seeing the expansion there. So, well, I really appreciate your time as we're kind of getting towards the end here. I got one more question for you, and what is the best piece of advice you have for a rising leader in customer success?
Hmm. Great question. One of the things that I learned early on is that customer success is a team sport, right? It is not just about the team that carries the title in their signature. Every interaction that a customer has with the company, whether it's in the product, or that's working with accounting on an invoicing question, right? I mean, something as mundane
Mhm.
as that can have a true impact. And so all those interactions matter. So to be a great leader of customer success, you need to embrace and collaborate with every team in your company. Every team who impacts that customer experience, is really, really important to how successful you will be in your role and how you work together.
Well, thanks, Jen. That is some awesome advice. If you're watching at home, can you tell us in the comments what do you look for in a customer success manager when you're buying SaaS technology?